Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. This is your boy, the coach from the WWE. I would like to welcome you to the very first wrestling podcast in the world to take you on a weekly deep dive into classic matches along with legends of the squared circle. Enjoy the discussion. Enjoy the back and forth. There's so much to get into. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Payoff.
Welcome to an all-new episode of The Payoff. I'm Tom. That's Jeff. I didn't wake up this morning thinking I'd watch a William Regal match, but here we are. Cesaro, William Regal, NXT. We got a lot to talk about. I'm excited about it. Again, and what I didn't realize is the historical significance of the match, which you'll get into. But yeah, I'm kind of pumped to cover this one, man. So how did you pick it?
I am a little disappointed you didn't give us all the early Christmas gift of singing his theme song, but the episode's not over here yet, so we'll see where.
Sing whose theme song?
William Regal's.
Yeah.
That's all right. It's okay. It's a long episode. We'll see what happens here. But so this was one, again, like I've said it, but kind of covering just the different promotions, kind of different things that are out there to close out this 2024 year. This was one, again, it happened in December. It was about 9 years ago at this point. And so kind of an interesting show at this one too, and kind of how it was, but because this was like the only match on the card. But I think both guys really, I picked it because I had talked a lot of time. I think I want to watch some more William Regal. I think he's just, he's great for how he's reinvented himself and what he does. Cesaro, Claudio, whatever you want to call him. I think he's always been put one of those guys is like everybody loves, like they think, saying he's just one of the best. He can't overlook him. And so I think just a lot. And like we said, like, okay, William Regal and Cesaro do a 20-minute match on NXT. Like, okay, I'll check that out. Like, let's see what's happening. So that's why we're covering this one. Just it's a very much a why not,
I'm looking forward to covering this one.
Mm-hmm.
I am. Let's jump. Are you ready?
Yeah. Hey, let's do this, man. Yeah.
Okay. We got the Daily Motion. We're going to do this on Daily Motion. I got that pulled up. We'll get into the card here in a second. Give me 1 second here. All right, let's get into the build.
Oh, it's time for the build.
So do you know how we ended up airing this on Christmas Day, by the way?
No. I know it was taped, but no.
I guess it was just the day of the week that they aired it. And then was this on the WWE network at the time?
NXT, I believe so, yes.
So that era, I'm just trying to piece this together. So I would assume that this was early network, like, because I think when they rolled out the network, NXT was on there. So this episode, from the best I recall, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is part of this NXT Rewind is when they aired this. But they aired, so the match didn't occur. I don't think the match occurred on the 25th.
No.
That's just when they aired this NXT Rewind.
Yeah. Yes. And that's what I have too. Yeah.
Okay. So I know that do we know when they aired the actual match? When it initially aired?
The 25th. The match was taped for this episode.
Got it. Okay. Because this is it looks like this is the only match that they put on this show. And then they had a segment on the opening of the Performance Center. And then they also talked about the NXT alumni. They did a package on them. And keep in mind that in 2013, our NXT alumni were the Wyatt family, The Shield, Fandango, Xavier Woods, Damian Sandow, Cesaro, and Big E. So that was that. So this was a really interesting show, but it'd be actually pretty fun to go back and watch it, which of course we can't watch it because, as you pointed out, the CW, it appears, owns all of the NXT episodes. So they're no longer on Peacock, but they haven't put them anywhere on the CW app. We just can access new ones. So they're a little bit in limbo currently. But we found this match on Daily Motion. So
yep.
How did we get to Cesaro and William Regal having their feud, and then of course this being Regal's last match?
Yeah, so it was interesting on this one of like you said, this show, it was Christmas Day, and so it's really, like you said, they covered a few different things, but this was taped as like the year in review show. But then we also got Cesaro versus Regal. We'll see that, like, obviously when they taped it, there's people in the arena. It probably was the week before or something like that. It really give us a match, no big deal. I think it probably flew under the radar because it was Christmas Day. Like nobody's watching NXT on Christmas. I mean, you and I might because we're crazy, but like that's fine. And so we're big fans. So, but also like this one, it's really like Cesaro and Young. We'll see that like to make this a little special, they actually had Howard Finkel come back, and he was the ring announcer on this one, and so that was kind of cool to see that. This is when they were still in Full Sail, and so those crowds, we all know, were hot, and every week they were always hot, and so. But this one, it was kind of dueling promos. There wasn't a lot between them kind of leading up to this one. It was just kind of like what it was. Regal had been around, and so he actually had a feud here and there. But this big one, I say it's his final in-ring feud with Cesaro, was Regal was actually saving Brian Saxton from Cesaro's bullying. That was part of it. And so Regal cut a promo, which I would suggest to anyone to go back and watch that promo. It's incredible. He talks about like, don't know how much I have left, but I want to, Cesaro is the person, or Antonio Cesaro is the person that I want to take on. He says, I'm in the autumn of my career is what he says. Like, just really cool. He said, the line where he even said like it's going to be like really playing down or playing up the fact that he knows that he's probably going to lose. I think my favorite line from the promo is actually say, even on my best day, I know he's 10 times the man and wrestler that I've ever been. So talk about like putting Cesaro over big time, but then also like I'm gonna do this. Like I'm gonna have this match and kind of have this. And so, but Cesaro cut a similar promo as well too. And so where these guys kind of, him telling him at the same time, hey, like, and this had to have Cesaro telling him, like, it's time for the younger, stronger, that's better man to win on this one. And Regal even saying like he knew he wasn't going to win. And so the line that he put out, he says, I'm going into this match knowing the only chance I've of surviving, let alone winning, is a miracle. And that's not coming to a faithless old villain like myself. Like really, like kind of pulling the curtain back a little bit, like really like looking back on his career and kind of what he was doing, like just really crazy. And I have a feeling like like his last kind of line of the promo, or the last little bit was, I honestly can't think of a more noble way to go out than being beaten by the ultimate competitor. I think these two just really wanted to have a match together. Like, yeah. I think Regal saw something in him, knew that he was going to be just incredible, like knew that he was a technician in every way. And Regal's like, you know what? I got one more in me. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this happen. And so, and that was Cesaro. Part of that was saying he's the only technical wrestler I've ever respected. Like, his evilness was an inspiration for him. And so they really, like, I look up to him, but I have to beat I have to beat the master to become the master type thing. And so really, like, I would say go find the promos along with this one. I think we're about to see something special.
Well, yeah, it's a very highly rated match. I mean, the storyline, you can't do that all the time, but
Nope.
a storyline like that where one guy's like, I don't know if on my best day right now I can beat you on your worst day. It's
Yep.
interesting. I mean, this is really good. So I'm pumped to cover this one, man. I really am. We've got the Daily Motion link. I'll signal us press and play, and we'll get right into this one. Are you ready?
Yeah, I got this pulled up. Let's do this, man.
All right.
It's time for the payoff.
The payoff.
Tonight's main event.
All right, so
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the NXT Rewind main event match. I'm Tom Phillips,
Hey,
along with
Tensai.
Byron Saxton.
so we have Byron Saxton, Tom Phillips, and Prince Albert. Matt
Tensai,
Bloom, but
yeah.
he's
Matt
actually
Bloom.
using the funniest part about this is he's using his Tensai name, which is so stupid.
In a suit. Yeah.
Yeah, in a suit. So all right, so we got them. We're in the studio. We're about to do this. They're doing the intros here. Man, I'm really pumped to cover this one. So, oh my goodness, Howard Finkel on the call.
The fake. Yeah, there he is.
Wow, that's awesome. Man,
Love
this
the
is
think
great.
back in this one.
This is great. I'm pumped for
Packed
this.
house. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm assuming this is at Full Sail.
Yeah, this
It
is
has
definitely
to be.
Full Sail.
Okay.
Yep.
Pulled up a list of top Cesaro matches. Just some interesting ones here.
Sure.
There's a Sami Zayn match that's number one in NXT. Then this match, believe it or not, is number two on the list I'm looking at. There was a Cena match that was part of his U.S. Open challenge. Another
Yep.
Sami Zayn match that was 2 out of 3. Match 7 of his 7-match series with Sheamus, which those were awesome. And then, of course, they became a tag team after that. I mean, it was just great. Cesaro and Tyson Kidd versus the Usos at a Fastlane show. I remember that match being good. This is a fun one. Cesaro and Walter in 2019 in Progress. Let's listen to Regal coming out here for a second.
243 pounds, William Regal.
Oh,
One of the most
The
conniving
Fink voice
and
just takes you
devious
back, man.
minds
Oh.
this industry has ever seen.
This is great. Man, this is awesome. A SmackDown match versus Daniel Bryan. His WrestleMania match against Seth Rollins. A title match against Roman Reigns in 2021. So yeah, there's some fun matches on here, man. He has a great body of work. I'll tell you, man, and I know it's like he's such a great wrestler, but it's like, you got to remember, with very, very few exceptions, at some point you got to be able to cut a promo.
Yep.
And whether it's an accent or a lack of an over-the-top personality, guys like Ricochet, guys like Cesaro, I mean, they're just there's a ceiling if you can't put asses in seats with your mic skills. And remember, this isn't just cutting a good promo. This is like, think about like Cody Rhodes, for instance. How many promos has he had to cut over the past 12 months? And how do you continue to cut 5, 7, 10-minute promos week in and week out without people getting sick of you, without people turning on you? It's harder than people realize. And there's not a lot of guys in this business that are able to cut great promos all the time. It's part of the brilliance of Hulk Hogan. For years and years and years, he cut promos that put people in seats at house shows, at pay-per-views. And it took, 8 years for the shtick to eventually get old?
Yep.
And then he became a heel, and apparently he was a great promo as a heel, too. One of the few people to ever be able to pull that magic trick off. So
immediately reinvented himself. Yep.
yes. So, that I think is the flaw in Cesaro. It was never an in the ring thing. So, um,
Yeah. I think too, like some of the, like we've seen it, like a bad promo can ruin you. Like, to go out there, like, you think about it like, oh, of course, like the wrestling's fake type stuff. It's like, okay, like it's, it's not. Let's kind of start there and go from that. But then also like what they're doing out there, it isn't always full. I mean, it used to be fully scripted, but like, anymore, like they're kind of shooting from the hip. I think of the rain delay from that WrestleMania that we had where it was always like, these guys are just out there cutting promos, like, and kind of having a do like all these different things that we hadn't seen before because they had to. And so, I think too, even Roman, like, look at, we all get it. Like Roman was pushed on us. We've seen it. Like, it wasn't what we all wanted, but then now, like, we can't imagine him not being where he is. He's, still, I get there's Rock and Cody and all that stuff, but he's still probably the most over wrestler that they have on the roster because he learned how to cut some promos. He had Heyman cutting the promos for him as well too. Like you figure some people are just naturally inherent. Like, he can cut a promo. Jericho can cut a promo. Like there's just some guys that like, they can do it. They give them a microphone and they can go out there and do it. Yeah. Real technical at this point. They got them locked up. Yep.
Yeah, but this is what they do, man. And it's unique. So, let me ask you this: is it fair? We've got a AEW superstar and we have a former AEW talent. Is it fair to compare AEW to WCW? And my answer to this is you're stewing your response is yes. And I think I think there are far more similarities than differences. And I know money's not everything, but when you have a lot of money to spend, you have a lot of money to spend. How was WCW able to secure Hulk Hogan, Gene Okerlund, Bobby Heenan, Randy Savage, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall? Because they had money. They had money that TNA didn't have. They had money that Ring of Honor didn't have. So there has to be some level of comparison just because, it's no coincidence in my mind. Again, money doesn't buy everything, but it's no coincidence in my mind that the only two threats to WWE over the past 40 years have come from the only two companies that had truly, millions and millions and behind that billions to be able to spend. So
the pocketbook. Yep. Yes.
Then, I look at other things and it's what was one of the issues with WCW? Well, they overexposed themselves. Thunder hurt them. It hurt them because they didn't have the resources to crank out another 2 hours of television. They spread their roster thin, they spread their resources thin, and they just wore out the audience. And I feel like AEW, I mean, especially when you're Tony Khan and you don't need the money, why not tell your television partner, look, we just want to have one killer 2 hour show. We don't want another 2 hour show and another hour show and whatever in the hell else they're producing now. So they've overexposed the product. I think in both cases, they've over-relied on WWE IP. And that I have no issue with bringing in Chris Jericho. I think Chris Jericho initially, I think he legitimized the company. But then it was Sting. And then it was Matt Hardy. And then it's every disgruntled WWE wrestler that ends up
Mercedes,
out of contract.
Sasha,
then it's
whatever,
Mercedes. Then it's Malachi Black. Then it's, and it's like at some point, half or more of your roster is WWE, misfits. And on top of that, every single time you bring these guys in as watered down ripoffs of their WWE character. Give Edge a new song. Don't, then it's like, oh, the Hurt Business is now the Destruction Business or the Hurt Organization or whatever the hell they're calling themselves. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just, there's no originality to it. And so in both cases, they don't have enough writers and enough writing team. WCW did not have enough creative resources. They did, you can knock WWE's writing team all you want, but there's long-term storytelling, there's continuity, especially with Vince out of the way. So I think that and then you hear Eric Bischoff talk and you realize all the mistakes they made, AEW's making now. I mean, literally almost to a T. It's scary sometimes. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think it's funny because you said, like, their competition. They're not their competition. Like, AEW is not competition to WWE. Like, I go back to, like, the Pissant Company or whatever it was, Triple H said. Like, the reality is, like, I don't think they care. Like, they're not going to, okay, maybe 1 week they beat him on the ratings, and then Tony Khan will drop a promo about how, oh, we beat WWE in the ratings and, all this other stuff. Like, they're not, okay, fine, they beat them 1 week. They're not going to have sustained beating of them. It's just not going to happen. Say, like, they had a run there. They did, just like WCW, like your initial question here. Like, yeah, they did have a nice little run. Like, they did do some stuff, and like I know I think like they said that, like, they're the wrestlers wrestling promotion. Like, they want to have the best wrestling, which they might, like, but also, like, I've said this before, like, I think it's something that WCW lacked. Like, okay, so you had there was a storyline here or a storyline there, but like, we have some incredibly long-term storylines that are happening in WWE. Like, there's stuff that, like, you and I, like, they are all wrapped up at this point. Jeez, super technical. Yeah. I've never seen that move. I don't even know what it is. But anyways, yeah, I think that they're just not their competition. So I think, you can compare them to them. But like you said, they're doing a lot of the things that, you and I, if we were in that position, wouldn't do. Is there some good wrestling out there? Yeah, probably. But like, I'm not spent, even with the reduced max rate that we're going to get when they make the move over to HBO Max, whatever the hell you want to call it. Like, even a reduced rate, I don't want to pay. Like, I'm not.
I hate that.
So, and like, I feel like that's such a slap. Like, when you're like, you got to, if you're going to say your competition, you got to at least match your competition. So to roll this out, have it be like a huge announcement, and then be like, oh, by the way, like, well, you might get, $20 off our $60 pay-per-view. Like, I think one of the smartest things that WWE has done since is started calling it premium live event. Like, get rid of the, like you and I, some of the business that we do. It's like, don't call something cheap, call it cost effective, call it, call it, be smart about it. Like, change, if you don't like, we were talking about, like, if you don't like what's being said, change the conversation. Like, they're not pay-per-views anymore. Call them premium live events. Oh shit. Okay. That makes a lot more sense. Like, and they've turned into, I feel like they build a city around these events now with like fan access and all this other shit that they've got going on. And so it's wild to me, but, yeah, I think that it's just one of those things where, like, sure, you can compare them, and absolutely, but at the same, because I think they're making a lot of the same mistakes that everybody else is making too. But then on the flip side, like, they're just not their competition, though. To me, they're not.
No.
You lose all the air in your lungs. It's forced up. Your knees, the stress on the knees, and the landing is never.
So Cesaro just got on with the swing. So some of Regal's best matches ever. Did we cover the uncensored 1996 match between Regal and Fit Finlay?
No.
Okay, that might be a good one to add to our list. This particular list says it's the best match of his career.
I will get it added. Okay.
Yeah. Regal and Ambrose in FCW in 2012.
Don't have that.
I've heard
Don't
this
have that
one was
either
good. Regal and Benoit at the Brian Pillman Memorial Show. Heard that was a pretty awesome match.
Yep.
This match, CM Punk in 2009, Triple H in 1998, Edge for the IC title in 2002, Samoa Joe in 2008, Daniel Bryan in 2011 on a Superstars. So just some interesting matches. What a career, though.
All kinds of stuff. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. Crazy. Good stuff, though.
Yeah.
All right, so they're still just kind of working each other. Regal got his leg taken out early in the match, and he's been doing a good job of selling that. These guys, nothing high flying. They are absolutely just kind of doing this, technical on the mat. Like everybody looks pretty locked in though, so that's always good. But yeah, Regal looks good out there too. Like great, just a technician though, kind of with the selling though. You love to see it. Yep.
How many students do you think go to Full Sail?
Like 4,000 or something, maybe. I don't know.
9,000.
Not wow. Okay.
In person and another 10,000 online.
Like I said, I know they've got a big in-person TV like production. Like that's a really
9,000. It's huge. It's a big campus.
I'm curious here what tuition cost is. I wonder. I don't see anything. Wonder we could probably get in pretty easy though if we wanted to take some online classes.
If you live in Florida, you get very, very cheap schooling. Like any of those schools, like Florida State, Florida, any of those state schools are like, I think they might even be free if you live in Florida. I mean, they're really, really cheap.
I know some states are just weird like that. Yeah, or schools, they offer that. So good match so far, like I said. Fun to see, yeah. I think we're getting to that point too with AEW. Are we going to see a? I'm curious. Are we going to start seeing a exodus of AEW wrestlers over like coming back to WWE?
Well, the problem is there's only so many spots to go around. And you look at that WWE main roster there and it's like how many spots are available? Because keep in mind at any given time, it's like I feel like there's always 5 or so, maybe more, let's call it 5+ superstars that aren't even like around because they're trying to rotate them in and out a little bit more. So like, you say, oh, well, where's Becky and AJ and Shinsuke and, Orton hasn't. I mean, you start at any given time, again, you'll rattle off 5 or more. Charlotte's injured, right? I mean, so it's like how many spots are there? Who do you think? Like who on the AEW roster do you say I could see them going back?
I don't know. A good question. Let me pull up the roster actually.
I mean, remember, then you got to start thinking who are the Triple H guys, right? So, could I see a Malachi Black? Could I see a Adam Cole?
Yeah, so Moxley. I don't think Moxley would ever come back yet. Adam Cole, Edge, Edge could be one. I'm just looking at guys that have been there or could kind of jump back and forth. Billy Gunn. I don't think Billy Gunn will come back. Obviously, Bobby Lashley's there now, so I don't think he's coming back. Jericho. I could very well see Jericho coming back. Like who knows?
Yeah, he'll do a final run Hall of Fame thing. Probably. But, Jericho's weird. You never know with him. And I don't know how well he gets along with Triple H. I think he's more of a Vince guy.
So mid 2019 is when they debuted. And so we're getting to be in that 5-year period, even if you kind of extend out some contracts and stuff like that. And so you figure 3 to 5 years on some deals. Who knows kind of what's happening and where they're going and stuff like that. And so
I have to think though, I mean, there'd be a lot of money in Moxley.
Oh yeah.
He's the one where it's like, man, you think, you have somehow you get back to the Shield, whether it's together or separate.
Yeah.
Then you think of like a Moxley Punk.
You're printing money at that point. Yeah.
Moxley Orton. I mean, there's some Moxley Cody. I mean, you start getting into some matches and it's like, geez.
Yeah. And that's what I'm looking. Even some of these, a lot of the women haven't ever been over there. So I could see.
There's no kicking out from that.
Oh, there we go. Yep.
Here is your winner, Antonio Cesaro.
I mean, they just beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah, they did.
These two men put each other through hell tonight.
What a match.
It was technical. It was really good. Like just a technical showcase. Yeah.
I just feel like this could have been something. Let's take a look back at this. This huge 240 pounds in the back of the head. That was the fatal blow for Regal. And then this, the neutralizer.
Is this really his last match?
Well, folks, thank you for joining us for this NXT Rewind. What a 2013 it was.
All right, so there you go. NXT Rewind on Christmas night. Let's get into
it's time for the aftermath.
All right, so what happens after this? And what did you think of the match?
Really good. Like just really good. They obviously respect each other. They're kind of shaking hands now as we're going off the air.
And and Jeff, it's a different style of match. Like that's I just that's so important now, and I feel like that's kind of lost. Where it's like not every and again, not to beat the dead horse of like bagging on AEW, but it's like so many their matches to me all seem so similar, and so a match like this, I like that it's just different.
Yep, absolutely. This is one where, so Cesaro, he had actually made his like SmackDown debut earlier in 2012. So this was kind of like a comeback for him at this point. And so he was even in the Royal Rumble. And so had a little bit of time there. And so, yeah, he even took on, he was in, what was it? The Elimination Chamber match. He took on some Cena, Orton, stuff like that. So he had a lot happening. And so Cesaro is, he was going somewhere. And so he was fine. Regal on the flip side, this was retiring from wrestling at this point, but this was 2013. At least online, it said while he was retired from wrestling, he did have as it said, behind closed door match in a WWE tryout in Dubai in 2014 with Sami Zayn. So I think that one was probably Regal, just like, yeah, I want to wrestle this guy. And so that's what he did. And so I think that was fine. But then we did get him getting the general manager role. He was on commentary as well, too, kind of helping groom future announcers. Really, I remember, we'd see those photos of him, like it's some random indie show where he's like up in the balcony, like kind of looking at wrestlers and kind of seeing who they want. He was a trainer for a little bit at the Performance Center after Dusty Rhodes passed. And so, like you said, he was in AEW for a bit. He's back in NXT or WWE again, NXT. And so, still just has a super long and, really good career. So both guys kind of worked out. Cesaro now, of course, over in AEW as well, too, as Claudio. So this year, 2013, Cesaro was 18. Regal was actually 156. He got on the list. It said really just one write-up from the Observer. William Regal cut an amazing promo. This was the best acting I've seen from a wrestler in Christ knows how long. This, by God, was what promos used to be, and they're supposed to be: a wrestler peering deep into his own soul to find his motivation and expressing that soul to the viewers at home. Nobody wrote this for Regal. He found this within himself. And of course, he put Cesaro over like a king. This was amazing. A very good, very unique match. Refs were helping Regal up the ramp afterwards when Cesaro confronted him, and the two combatants shook hands as NXT review ended. So just great stuff, like absolutely. So what do you think of first score on this one though?
I have this at 6.5, and okay. I look, the promo is really good. I liked it. It's not my It's not my preferred style. So, but that's purely opinion. Unlike Dave Meltzer, I don't speak in fact. So that's purely an opinion. How about you?
Yeah, I was actually going to give this one a 7. I thought, like, from a wrestling standpoint, it was great. Like, they just out there doing what they do best. Like, you can't not enjoy it. And so, yeah, I was just a big fan of everything that was happening on this one. Really good.
Well, that's it, man. We got a good one next week, huh?
Yeah, what do we got now? Mankind Undertaker. I feel like you could throw a dart. We could fill a dartboard with every Mankind Undertaker match, and every one we'd hit would probably be pretty good. And so I'm excited for this one, though. I think it'll be really good.
Good. Well, this was a fun episode. Appreciate everyone listening. We'll see you next week on an all new episode of The Payoff.